Weather-wise, so far, so good in downtown Cincinnati. We welcome you to Great American Ballpark. It's the opening game of this three-game weekend series. The Reds taking 2 of 3 over the Mets, now entertaining their intra-division rivals, the Chicago Cubs. And hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Chris, much has been made about the Reds' leadoff spot in the batting order. And tonight, Dusty Baker finally makes a change. And when you look at the numbers of the leadoff batter so far for the Reds this season, you can understand why.
Well, the important numbers for leadoff batter, you set the table, you get on-base percentage. But when you're on-base percentage, batting number one in the lineup is .228, and your batting average is less than .150. That's like a pitcher batting average. I mean, that's the worst in the league. Needless to say, they're also the worst in the league in the most strikeouts out of that number one spot. So Dusty Baker had to make a change, and he's come up with a new idea.
You know, we'd hope that Stubbs would fill that spot. And like I've always said, one of the hardest guys to find in this game is a good, bona fide, consistent leadoff man with speed. And, Cabrera's a guy that's bad at leadoff. He doesn't have the speed he used to have, but he knows how to lead off. And he's let off the most on anybody else that we have here. But on the other hand, it's kind of like putting your finger in the dike, because he's also one of the best RBI men we have at the same time, too. So I don't know if this is short-term, long-term, but it's just something that's necessary right now.
Well, Eder Cabrera, he has batted leadoff more than anybody else. First time he did it, it's been a long time ago since he last did it, that is. 35 times last year, 251st. What you don't get with Cabrera is a lot of stolen base opportunities, but you do get a guy who can be a pesky base runner. So you got to get him on base, because Joey Votto's swinging the bat too well to have continued at-bats with nobody on. So that's the way it's going to be, at least right now. Cabrera at the top of the Reds order tonight.
And on the mound for the Reds, it'll be Homer Bailey. We'll talk more about him in a moment. Courtesy of our friends from H.H. Gregg. Welcome back to Great American Ballpark. We're about 10 minutes away from the first pitch. Weather is certainly a factor tonight, or at least let's hope it's not. For more on that, here's Tim Hedrick.
Well, this is a night the weather could get interesting down at the old ballpark because we're anticipating showers and thunderstorms around 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. There is a tornado watch just northwest of Cincinnati, down to 69 by 11 o'clock. Keep an eye in the sky and enjoy the game.
Tim, thank you so much. Take a look at our starting pitchers tonight. Carlos Silva, his first year, Chris, back in the National League, throwing the ball very well against Homer Bailey.
Yeah, you know, Carlos Silva really throwing the ball better than a lot of people who follow this Cubs team would have expected or even hoped at this point. 2-0, 2.9 earned run average. The league is batting in the low 200s against him. He's a good control pitcher. Homer Bailey coming off his best start of the year. That was last time out against the St. Louis Cardinals. 6 2/3 of 6 strikeout baseball. Boy, Homer Bailey really had it going. His fastball was buzzing. His breaking ball, though, was the key to that ball game. We'll see if he has a slider working tonight.
Weekend series, Lou Piniella and the Cubs in town to take on Dusty and the Reds. First pitch coming up. Neighbor State Farm is there. By Ford F-Series trucks, the best-selling trucks, 33 straight years. By Just for Men for mustache and beard, keep your edge. And by Skyline Chili, you know it's Skyline time when you get that craving for a Skyline three-way or cheese conies. Ducks enjoying this kind of weather.
Ducks on the pond. That's what Dusty Baker's looking for in his lineup.
Cubs lineup tonight has Ryan Theriot at second base. First time all year. Kosuke Fukudome in right. Derek Lee at first. Marlon Byrd in center. Aramis Ramirez at third. Alfonso Soriano in left. Giovanni Soto the catcher. Their highly touted prospect Starlin Castro makes his major league debut at short. Carlos Silva on the mound. Theriot looks at ball one. Called a strike, I beg your pardon, says Jerry Lane, and this game is underway.
Sixth start of the year for Homer Bailey, looking for his second quality start. His first one came his last time out.
1-1 to Theriot. Began the year. The last 3 years has been the Cubs' everyday shortstop. And now with the arrival, the highly anticipated arrival of Starlin Castro, Theriot moves over to play second base, replacing Mike Fontenot. Theriot having an outstanding year. You can understand why they're finding a spot for him on the team and in the lineup. Comes into the game batting .341 does Ryan Theriot. In fact, he leads the National League in base hits with 42 on the year. Jam shot roller down to Votto. The flip to Bailey, and Theriot retired. Let's take a look at the Reds on defense tonight, presented by Ford. Drew Stubbs in center. Johnny Gomes in left. Jay Bruce in right. Roland, Cabrera, Phillips, Votto. Third to first. And Ramon Hernandez behind the plate for Homer Bailey. Well, the Cubs have some guys up and down their lineup that are just having remarkable years. The irony is it's not the guys they're counting on to do the most damage in their lineup. Saw Theriot batting .341. Kosuke Fukudome checks in at .321. As that one slapped into left field, a base hit. But the duo primarily of Derek Lee and Aramis Ramirez have the Cubs dumbfounded at this point in the year.
Well, right now, Kosuke Fukudome is seeing the ball real well, and he's a guy that is a .263 career hitter in his previous 2 years in the major leagues. He's hitting .321 right now. So is he going to be able to sustain that? No one really knows. But I always wanted to know on the opposing hitters who is hot, who is swinging early in the count. Fukudome, obviously a guy who feels good right now. He went up there hacking and got a first pitch base hit.
Well, now Derek Lee digging in. First pitch swinging, fouls it away. Lee remarkably hitting just .217.
And that, you know, Tom, when that happens, you compare him to his career numbers. And he is a .283 career hitter. He's hitting nearly 300 home runs. So at the end of the year, is Derek Lee going to hit closer to 200 or 300? The chances are he's going to be much closer to 300. So somewhere along the line, you know, somebody's going to pay and pay big. You just hope that he doesn't get hot while he's in town playing against you.
Outstanding career numbers for Derek Lee, who not only has been very good at the plate, he's among the best defensive first basemen in either league. He didn't like that call by Jerry Lane. Homer ahead 0-2 to Derek Lee with a runner at first and one out. We're just underway.
I'll tell you what I like early about Homer Bailey. Lots of fastballs. He's not trying to go out there in the first inning, trick him on breaking stuff, throw a splitter, you know, get him off stride. Hey, when you're blessed with the kind of arm that Homer Bailey is, move the ball around the strike zone. Change speeds a little bit, but primarily use your fastball.
Fastball inside there to Lee, and that evens a count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And I think that's the philosophy that is echoed by Brian Price, the pitching coach, you know, in trying to give these guys some confidence in their fastball, because that's what got them here, and that will be the pitch that will keep them here.
A fastball high, so after getting ahead 0-2, the count has gone full to Derek Lee, and will Lou Piniella start the runner, Kosuke Fukudome, on the 3-2 pitch.
Well, you got to remember that if you're Homer Bailey, you know that Derek Lee has faced you 7 times and has 5 hits.
Fouled away, and the runner was on the move.
So you're feeling pretty comfortable if you're Derek Lee. You're not feeling quite as comfortable if you're Homer Bailey and you run the count to full. And, of course, I'm sure that Lou Piniella knows the same thing. That's why he'll put Kosuke Fukudome in motion, figuring that he will not get a strikeout here.
A 1-out single here in the opening inning by Fukudome. It's 3-2 to Lee. The runner goes again, and that's a fly ball into shallow center that'll fall in front of Stubbs. A base hit, and Fukudome easily advances on to third. So here the Cubs come limping into this series, having just been swept by the Pirates 3 straight games. And they're making noise in the first inning.
You know, the thing that has always impressed me most about Derek Lee is that he's a real big guy, but he has such a short swing. And most big, tall guys with long arms, they're easy to get the ball inside on. But Derek Lee is the exception to that rule. Short swing, that ball was tailing right in on his hands, and he was able to get his hands inside just enough of the barrel to get it into center field. Remarkable hitter.
Now Marlon Byrd, in his first year as a Cub, signed as a free agent during the offseason and having a nice year. Strike one. Byrd at .339. 5 home runs and 19 runs batted in.
Well, .339 is way higher than he has ever hit for an entire season. So he's seeing it big right now.
In the 3 games prior to the sweep in Pittsburgh, the Cubs had a 3-game winning streak where they scored 28 runs in 3 games against Arizona. But in the 3 games in Pittsburgh, they scored a grand total of 5 runs. 2 in the opener, 2 in the second game, and 1 run yesterday.
You know, same thing happened to the Reds when they went through Pittsburgh. They got skunked 3 games in a row, just couldn't get their offense going.
0-1 to Marlon Byrd, and it's off the outside edge. Even a count.
Lou Piniella before the ball game, talking a little bit about that, saying, I'm not going to make excuses, but, you go into Pittsburgh after being in Wrigley Field where you've got 41,000 people and it's an electric atmosphere, and Pittsburgh is kind of sedate. And I think our guys just kind of fell asleep. Certainly their bats did.
1-1 to Byrd. There's a fastball, and that's on the inside corner. Good pitch there by Bailey to get ahead at 1-2. The Cubs have been a very streaky bunch to begin this season, and really that's putting it mildly. Their fans are wondering, which team are they? I mean, they've had a handful of winning streaks, a handful of losing streaks, really going back to the second week of the year. They won 4 in a row, then lost 4 in a row. Won 4 in a row, lost 3 in a row, won the 3 games against Arizona before losing their last 3 against the Pirates. So who are they? I'm sure Lou Piniella is wondering the same. 1-2 to Byrd. Struck him out on a breaking ball, and that's a big out for Bailey.
Now that's the first curveball that Homer Bailey has thrown of the night. He tried to throw a couple of sliders to Derek Lee. The previous hitter was overthrowing him, so he tries to pull the string right here, and that is a yacker. Good looking pitch right there. I got to figure that broke more than 1 inch, huh? Ask Marlon.
Well, now the most mystifying player of all the Cubs so far through the first month of the year settles in, and that's Aramis Ramirez. I mean, he has been an RBI machine going back to his days with the Pirates, and of course for the last half a dozen years as a Cub, seemingly every year knocking in over 100 runs. 148 the batting average for Aramis Ramirez. Cubs with runners on the corners and 2 away, and there's strike 1 from Bailey. Came back with a fastball, and quickly ahead is Homer Bailey at no balls and 2 strikes. Of course, the Cubs have 3 of the 6 Great American Ballpark home runs registered by opponents. Lee with 14, Ramirez with 12, the same number for Alfonso Soriano. Check swing. It didn't look like he went. And agreeing with that is Brian Runge, the umpire at first. Well, apparently they changed the rotation of the umpires. They had originally Jerry Lane behind the plate. But that was Jerry Lane down at first base. So 1-2 to Ramirez. And now the count even.
Well, we've seen this thing happen with Homer before where he throws 2 great pitches to get ahead of a batter. First pitch slider, second pitch 95 on the 94 on the black, and then he's not able to put him away. And it comes to a point where Homer wants to throw his best slider, and you overthrow it a little bit and it kind of rolls up there. So just relax, young man. Stay back over the rubber. Because when he does that, he's got great extension towards home. The ball really comes out of his hand, and they don't really get all that good of swings off of his fastball.
2-2 on Aramis Ramirez. Runners on the corners with 2 away here in the Chicago first inning. And Bailey to the plate and misses away. As Chris mentioned, we saw the at-bat with Derek Lee with Alfonso Soriano waiting, where Bailey got to him no balls and 2 strikes, ran it to 3-2 before Lee singled into center. So now Derek will get started over at first on a 3-2 pitch to Aramis Ramirez. Down to Roland, and Bailey wiggles off the hook. A job well done by Homer Bailey. Cubs get a couple of hits and leave 2. Reds are coming up. Time as a Red. Brandon Phillips back in the 2-hole. Joey Votto at first. Scott Rowland back in the lineup at third. Jay Bruce in right. Johnny Gomes in left. Bruce Tubbs bats 7th with Ramon Hernandez 8th and Homer Bailey 9th. Carlos Silva coming off his first poor start of the year, but boy, has he thrown the ball well so far.
He's a big guy, and he kind of resembles Carlos Zambrano in a way. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, Silva is, but he's a guy that doesn't pitch quite like Zambrano. Anyway, he's a little more of a control pitcher. Keeps the ball down for the most part. As you see, Cabrera jumped all over that high fastball. A little bit of a slider, changeup. He pitched a real good game against the Reds back in the first series of the year, or the first series that the Cubs came into town. And for his first go run through the National League after spending most of his career in the American League, he's having a pretty good run of it.
Ramirez handles a 2-hopper, throws, and still enough for that arm to get Cabrera 1 away. Let's take a look at the Cubs on defense. It'll be Marlon Byrd in center field with Soriano in left and Fucadome in right. The big news for the Cubs, the arrival of their highly touted prospect Starlin Castro, who makes his major league debut, and Ryan Theriot moves over to second. Giovanni Soto behind the plate for Carlos Silva. We got to look at Castro. In spring training, a lot of people felt like they should have just named him the everyday shortstop then. He was so impressive out in Arizona. All the tools are there. He's only 20. But they're very high on his future, and that apparently begins tonight. A ball and a strike on Brandon Phillips. Brandon at 257, 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in. On the outside corner, a strike. Phillips hit in the cleanup spot 2 days ago against the Mets when Scott Rowland was given the day off. He had 2 hits, including a home run. Silva just turned 31 years old a week and a half ago. Acquired from Seattle along with a pile of cash in December for troubled outfielder Milton Bradley. That one fouled away down the right field line. Broke in with Philadelphia, then spent 4 years with Minnesota. There you get a look at it. Phillips home run here on Wednesday afternoon. And now the 2-2 to Brandon. Terrio his first chance at second this year and throws out Phillips. 2 away in the inning. Chris, your thoughts on Orlando Cabrera in the leadoff spot?
Well, I think Dusty Baker's just trying to do something to make the lineup a little bit better, and he doesn't have a lot of options. I mean, with Chris Dickerson on the disabled list, there aren't a lot of options you can go to in center field. You can go around and say, all right, Brandon Phillips is a leadoff man. Don't know. Jay Bruce, how about one of the catchers? They seem to have the highest on-base percentage. I think that based on experience, that's where he went with Orlando Cabrera in that spot.
A 2-out single off the bat of Joey Votto keeps the inning alive for Scott Rowland.
Joey Votto knows enough about Carlos Silva that he will be around the zone. If he makes a mistake, and that was a mistake pitch, turned over either a changeup or kind of a slow sinking fastball right there, that you better jump on it.
Strike one to Scott Rowland. Well, Chris brought it up. I mean, Silva among the best control pitchers in all of baseball, really, during his entire career. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's thrown better than 1,100 innings in the big leagues and has walked just 220 batters. That is an average of less than 2 per 9 innings. Good breaking ball there to get ahead of Rowland at 0-2.
You know, he has the throwback philosophy of a couple of pitches that he can throw for strikes. And his pitches are fastball, slider, but also he's developed a changeup that he can throw for a strike. So he keeps it real simple. He doesn't have a fistful of different pitches to call from.
Back up through the middle on an 0-2 pitch. This could be first to third for Votto. Yep, easily. He held up momentarily. That ball was not hit very hard, and Marlon Byrd was playing so deep in center that Votto easily coasted into third even after hesitating.
Well, tonight the outfielders are going to play deep, especially the center fielders, because the wind is blowing so hard from the west down the river, and there's a real wind tunnel out there in left center field. They don't want to be caught having to go back on routine fly balls, so that gives Joey Votto an easy chance to get to third.
And now a scoring chance for the Reds with Jay Bruce at the plate, and he fouls it away. You know, one thing the Reds have done this season better than any team in baseball, they've gone first to third on a single with more frequency than anybody else in the major league.
Yeah, that's really a good tribute to Billy Hatcher and Mark Berry. This is what these guys do for a living, is to try to get them to run the bases right.
Jay at 242 has 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in, but right now is swinging the bat better than he has at any point during the year. In his last 16 games, he's a .315 bat.
Yeah, a lot of that is pitch recognition for Jay. You know, the more he sees as far as pitchers in this league, the more comfortable he'll be, know what they have, and he'll be able to recognize the difference between a breaking ball and a fastball early on. And hopefully you won't see as many bad cuts.
Giovanni Soto out to the mound to visit with Silva before this 2-2 pitch upcoming to Jay Bruce. Joey Votto at third, Scott Rowland at first. Scoreless game in the bottom of the first inning. And good pitch recognition there by Bruce. 3-2.
That was a changeup, and the back-to-back changeups for Silva, the same pitch he threw him the one before, and Bruce was kind of lunging at it a little bit. That's a very typical circle changeup grip. He got his index finger off the ball and his middle finger's on top of the ball.
3-2 now to Jay Bruce.
And another one.
Ball 4 to load him up.
You know what? I'm wondering if maybe that trip to the mound that Giovanni Soto made to talk to Silva was, hey, you know what? There's no reason to try to challenge this guy with a fastball. He's had a pretty good cut at your heater right now. Let's give him some changeups. And if we lose him, yes, we'll load the bases, but we'll bring up a right-hander, and you have a better shot at getting Gomes out than if you get behind in the count to Jay Bruce.
So they're loaded after 2 are out. Votto a single, went to third on a single by Rowland. And now Bruce the walk. Well, Johnny Gomes, we know he goes up there hacking. So he's looking for something to hammer unquestionably on the very first pitch in this at bat. And he takes a fastball up and away. Pop up into shallow left field. Soriano is there to make the play, and the Reds leave him loaded. Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Last 3 games for each of these teams. Talked about the Cubs getting swept in Pittsburgh, averaging less than 2 runs per game and giving up 6. And the Reds very good on the pitching front, just enough offense in taking 2 of 3 against the Mets. Reds come in at 500 overall on the year. 14 up, 14 down. Alfonso Soriano takes a breaking ball away. Cubs and Reds scoreless in the second inning. Well, the last time we saw Soriano, and granted it was the very first weekend of the year, he was having a dreadful time. Well, ever since he left, he's been knocking the cover off the ball. Over the last 21 games, a .366 batter, 8 doubles, 6 home runs, and 17 batted in. And according to those who see him regularly, you brought up pitch recognition a bit earlier in regards to Jay Bruce. And apparently Soriano not chasing as many high fastballs or as many breaking balls down and away.
Well, he's a guy, though, when he's going really good, he's all over the ball. He's on the plate anyway, but when he's going bad, he'll swing at pitches that really look like have no chance of being strikes, but he's given full hacks at it. He's a tough guy to figure out.
Play draws a leadoff walk from Bailey to start things in the second inning.
Hard thing to do there.
It is. Well, now at Papa John's, you can get any large pizza for just $10. Try one of their large signature specialty pizzas, or create your own with all the toppings you want for just $10. Call or click papajohns.com. Bullsaw sounds good right about now, doesn't it?
Bring it on. I buy you fly.
I'm choked up by the first part of that sentence.
Been hanging around your dad too much.
Now Giovanni Soto, the National League's Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, and just had a horrible season last year. Showed up overweight and just never got it together. Had a number of injuries, but man, is he rolling so far this year. Been batting eighth primarily the entire year. Now they have him in the 7-hole. 1 ball and 1 strike to Soto.
Well, it seems like that Giovanni Soto and Alfonso Soriano heated it up just about at the same time at the very end of the month of April against Arizona. Soto started collecting a lot of hits. Soriano started knocking the cover off the ball, and they've been hot ever since.
Bailey threw a fastball right by Soto there to get ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Certainly a threat of rain in the skies above. I mean, we've heard all kinds of conflicting reports as to would it rain, when would it rain, if it did rain, all the way up until just before game time, where the rain that was on the way had stalled somewhere around Indianapolis for a while. So we'll hope for the best. 2-2 to Soto.
Yeah. Looks like Homer still trying to find his release point on that slider. Not a bad spot for it right there, just out of the strike zone down near the dirt.
2-2 to Soto. And again, just missing, maybe a hair low. Well, now do you start a runner? Soriano at one time, one of the most feared base stealers in the game. No more.
I think absolutely, because Soto rarely strikes out.
There goes a runner, and it's shot into right field, a base hit. And on to third goes Soriano, so a leadoff walk. Then a 3-2 count to Soto is banged into right field, and the Cubs are making noise again.
Well, right now the 3-2 counts are killing Homer. I mean, he gets ahead of these hitters no problem. Then he kind of nibbles around the end of the strike zone, ends up going 2-2, 3-2. And he's had a hard time keeping runners close this year, Homer has. Got kind of a long delivery, and they're going to run on him on a 3-2 count. And Soto's a good contact hitter. He'll walk. He's walked almost twice as many times as he struck out. So he's a guy that knows the strike zone.
So now the major league debut of Starlin Castro, a native of Monte Cristi in the Dominican Republic. The Cubs' #1 ranked prospect according to Baseball America. And at Double-A Tennessee was batting nearly .380 and had already knocked in over 20 runs on the year. Ball 1 high. They signed him as a 16-year-old. Was the Florida State League All-Star Game MVP last year. And then went to the Arizona Fall League and hit nearly 400. 1-0 to Castro. Fastball in there, a strike. Six feet, 190 pounds is Starlin Castro. We talked about how impressive he was in the spring. He hit .429 in 16 major league spring training games. Beautiful breaking ball there for strike 2.
Hammer time.
Well, we'll see what Bailey now can do to try and finish him off. As Chris just mentioned a moment ago, he's gotten in front of seemingly everybody tonight except for Soriano, and then lost him. 2-2. And you know what's interesting, Chris, is seemingly every start, Bailey's comments after the game to the press are, boy, you know, I nibbled around too much. That has been his quote after every game he has started this season. 2-2 pitch. Driven deep into right field, and in his major league debut, Starlin Castro hits a 3-run home run to right field in his very first at bat. Wow.
Back-to-back curveballs here in this at-bat for Starlin Castro, and he makes Homer Bailey pay. Bailey just threw him one of the best curveballs he could throw, and he came back with somewhat of a roller that hangs right up there. He showed him a good one, then threw him a bad one, and Castro hits a 3-run homer in his major league debut, first at-bat. How about that? It was almost like they were afraid to throw him a fastball.
Castro is the youngest Cub to make his major league debut since Oscar Gamble back in August of 1969. Gamble was 19 years old then. And the pitcher Silva bounces out. What a way to break in the major leagues.
I'll tell you, pretty good looking swing out of a young kid that does not look all that powerful. He hit that ball out the opposite way very easily. Supplied his own power on a breaking ball.
Terrio now to batting, and a fastball is in there, a strike, so the Cubs jump out in front 3-0.
You know, obviously the book on Castro is that, you know, coming up from Double-A, he's probably got good hand speed, probably good bat speed, can hit a fastball, and they probably out-scouted themselves thinking about, well, you know, if he can hit, if he's a good fastball hitter, it means he won't be able to hit a curveball from a major leaguer. But what you do with that is that you ask yourself what Homer Bailey's best pitch is, and the answer is fastball. So if you scout yourself away from your best strength, you're going to ask for trouble every time.
Jay Bruce backing up on a fly ball from Ryan Terrio, and there are 2 away in the inning. I think you bring up a great point. I mean, just because a guy can get a fastball at Double-A, it doesn't mean he's walking into the big leagues and hitting fastballs. But old news now, 3-0 game. Here's Fukudome. Strike 1.
Well, this kind of thing has happened to every pitcher that's ever started, you know, a year in the major leagues. And what Homer needs to do now is say, all right, you got your 3 spot, you're not getting anything more from me, period. And you bear down, you pitch your best game you possibly can.
To the count on Kosuke Fukudome, and a strikeout swinging to end the inning. A leadoff walk, a single, a 3-run home run in the first major league at bat off the bat of Starlin Castro. pronounce that correctly. As Drew Stubbs, first pitch swinging, fly ball into right, 1 out. Ken would win the beautiful new Toyota Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. And by the way, you can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by seeing your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer.
You know, Tom, we went over the troubles that the Reds have had in the leadoff spot and showed you how their on-base percentage is the worst in the league. Their batting average leading off in the number 1 hole is not leading off an inning, but the first hitter in the lineup, worst in the league. Strikeouts most in the league. But you know one area where they lead the league in, it's kind of interesting. Their leadoff hitter, their number 1 hole hitter, has seen more pitches per plate appearance than any other team in the league. They're averaging 4.5 pitches per plate appearance. So in one way, they're doing the job of making a pitcher work. In another way, they're not getting on base. I just thought when you really look into things and behind the secondary numbers that was kind of an interesting thing. Drew Stubbs bounced down the number 7 hole, jumps on that first pitch, trying to hit himself out of that slump. But that's really the only way you're going to do it. I'm not saying you go up there and you hack at the first thing you see, but you hit your way out of a slump. You don't walk your way out of it.
1-1 to Ramon Hernandez at 2:45 with 5 runs batted in. Breaking ball by Carlos Silva is in there at the knees, a strike. Two and two now on Ramon Hernandez, and he struck him out swinging on a high fastball. First strikeout tonight by Silva. And we remind you, you can follow the Reds on your iPhone, iPod Touch, BlackBerry with MLB.com's At Bat 2010. Don't miss a moment all year. Visit Reds.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase. Two up, two down now for Homer Bailey. What a huge lift in that Cub dugout from Starlin Castro. They made the move, just bringing him all the way up from Double-A. And in his first at bat, a 3-run home run. And again, to repeat, the Cubs scored a total of 5 runs in 3 games in Pittsburgh just before coming here late last night. On the ground, it'll be a perfect inning for Silva. 3-0 Cubs at the end of 2. Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy. He'd love to hear from you. Well, Homer Bailey has allowed 3 runs, 4 hits so far through the front 2. 1 walk, a pair of strikeouts. Gave up a 3-run home run to Starlin Castro in the 2nd inning, and it's a 3-0 game as we begin the 3rd. Part of the order for the Cubs, it'll be Lee, Byrd, and Ramirez. It's 2 at-bats in a row now for Derek Lee, where he did not like the strike 2 call from the home plate umpire Brian Runge, and both times they were breaking balls on the outside corner. Ball and 2 strikes on Derek Lee. It'll stay right there.
Now that shows you what Homer Bailey's fastball can be when you're not looking for it. But Derek Lee has been able to solve Homer in the past. How about that? 6 for 8 with a hit by pitch.
Bailey had to work out of 1st inning trouble when the Cubs had runners on the corners and only 1 out, including a base hit by Derek Lee. But Homer struck out Marlon Byrd and got Ramirez on a ground ball to 3rd. But then trouble right from the get-go in the next inning. A leadoff walk to Soriano. Got ahead 0-2 on Giovanni Soto before the count ran full. He had a single on a hit and run. And then Castro, the 3-run home run. Two and 2 to Derek Lee. And a ground ball foul wide of 3rd. So Homer having a hard time putting the big fellow away. Derek Lee and Alfonso Soriano, the chase for 300 career home runs. Each of them 3 shot.
And Ramos Ramirez only 30 behind those guys.
2 and 2 to Derek Lee. And the at-bat continues.
That's the other thing that makes Derek Lee such a dangerous hitter, is he's got really good eye in the strike zone. And just by those little complaints that he made to home plate umpire Brian Runge, you know, that may just be enough just to get those marginal pitches to go your favor later on in the ball game. Splitter, he missed it with it.
Back-to-back leadoff walks for Homer Bailey. Walked Soriano, as we mentioned, to begin the 2nd inning. And now a walk to Lee to begin the 3rd. Here's Marlon Byrd, who struck out with runners on the corners in the opening inning. Clearly Bailey and Hernandez having some disagreement as to what to do on this 0-1 pitch to Byrd, and it's a breaking ball low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Marlon Byrd.
Well, he struck him out on a real good breaking ball his last time up, and that was a surprise pitch, I think, for Byrd, having never seen that particular one coming from Bailey.
Bailey threw the ball quite well his last start. And when he left the game, he was on the hook for a loss. That was Saturday at St. Louis. He wound up with a no decision. He left trailing 2-1, but then was charged with an unearned run that was scored against Carlos Fisher. He allowed only a 1-out solo home run to David Freese in the 4th inning, and then the much debated 2-out RBI double to Albert Pujols in the 7th when they had a base open. And when the at-bat began, Bailey was at 114 pitches and left the game with 121. Right now for Bailey, he's on pace to be at 120 pitches by probably the 5th inning of this game. That ball blasted into left center field, and the Cubs now lead 5-0. Marlon Byrd, home run number 6, RBIs 20 and 21.
Now he throws a breaking ball right here. It looks like maybe that's a splitter, but it was not the fastball, and it got to the center of the plate. And, you know, I hate to see Homer Bailey getting beat as he is tonight on his secondary and his third pitches. I mean, the home run by Starlin Castro was a breaking ball that he hung up there. That was either a splitter or a slider. And here's a guy that's out here throwing 95 and 96. Move your pitches around. Come on inside with that fastball every once in a while. Good hitter having a good year, Marlon Byrd, though. Got to hand it to him.
Down the left field line towards the corner, and that ball hooking foul.
That looks like the splitter right there. We could follow it just a little bit coming out of his glove. He'll give it away for us. I don't know. I'm not sure what that was. That's one of those pitches that you get back in the dugout. One of the other pitchers on the team will come up and say, hey, how'd you hold that? You say, why? Because I never want to hold one the same way.
Well, now Homer's fallen behind Aramis Ramirez 3-1.
That's a splitter right there. You can see his index finger on the way left side of the baseball and his middle finger on the other side. That's just a splitter that he just got up in the zone. If it's down, he probably gets a strikeout.
Bailey really struggling here tonight. Brian Price going to come out. That's 3 walks now in the game. He's already given up 5 runs on 5 hits, and there's still nobody out in the 3rd inning.
But here, you know, if you're Brian Price, you've got a couple of things you really want to do. Number one, you want to get Homer Bailey back on track. He's one of your 5 starters. He's a guy that you really need to contribute every 5th day to have a good rotation. Number 2, you want to be able to get him into this ball game and have him stay in the game at least until the 6th inning, so that you don't eat your bullpen up in the first day after an off day, when you've got now a string of games that you're going to play every day without an off day. So those are the 2 reasons that Brian Price is out there trying to get Bailey on his game.
And you could see Bailey during that conversation. He was quite animated there, frustrated, throwing his hands up in the air. I don't know if he's upset with the umpiring. It doesn't appear to be anything or pitches that he's not getting, at least Chris, I can recall so far in this game. But after a while, I mean, he just threw his arms up in frustration while Brian Price was talking to him.
Well, I think the frustrating part is, Tom, you warm up in the bullpen, you have good stuff, you're thinking, all right, I'm going out there, I'm going to pitch. I've waited 5 days for this, and I'm going to come out there, I'm going to pitch really well. And you look out at the scoreboard, and you're 5 runs down. And so there goes your shot of pitching a quality start, a shutout, a good game, probably a complete game. All those other things are out the window, and you've waited around a long time to do it, and you're very frustrated. And that's the hardest thing about pitching is to keep your cool while you're out there. And Some guys get it earlier than others, but he's being tested tonight.
Homer just celebrated his 24th birthday last Monday. And that one hooked down the left field line. That's a foul ball from Soriano. There's that frustration we were talking about during the visit from Brian Price.
I mean, the guy is an intense competitor. There is no question about that. And sometimes you have to, maybe turn that intensity level down a little bit or refocus it a different way rather than get too juiced up. It's easy to say. Very tough thing to do. We've all been there.
One hopper to Phillips, to Cabrera, and a double play. First 2 outs recorded for Homer Bailey here in the third.
But he got ahead of Soriano, didn't mess around with him, went right after him, and a 4-6-3 double play. Kind of an acrobatic one. A backhanded toss by Phillips, a airborne release by Cabrera. He ended up tipped over there by the runner Ramirez, who came in there and upset him.
So now Giovanni Soto singled to right field and scored on the home run by Castro an inning ago, and there's strike one. So the Reds have some work to do on offense, trailing 5-0, but there is a long way to go in this one. Only in the third inning. And already activity in the Reds bullpen. Bailey is closing in on 80 pitches already in the game. That's Micah Owen. Lined into left center. Stubbs is there, inning over. But a leadoff walk comes back to haunt Bailey for a second straight inning. A 2-run home run by Byrd, a 5-0 Cub lead. John Fay of the Inquirer from Walt Jocketty on the leadoff role. I don't think we have anyone in the minor leagues capable of filling that role, and frankly, there's no one available in a trade right now. We'll try and fix it internally, and we may be able to do something in a trade later on. So Orlando Cabrera batting in a cleanup spot for the first time since joining the Reds tonight. And ironically, it's the second time in the game he leads off an inning, and this time he dumps one into left center field, a base hit. So the Reds down 5-0, and they get a leadoff single to begin things in the third from Cabrera.
Oh, you don't need to get them all back at one time. You get them back a little bit at a time, and you kind of peck away at it. One of the better high fastball hitters we've seen in recent years.
mentioned Silva his last time out. In 5 innings, allowed 5 runs and 8 hits. He walked 3 batters. And it was his shortest outing since going 3 innings as a member with Seattle in Kansas City in May of last year. That one almost hit Brandon Phillips high and tight, 2-0. Two and one now to Phillips, who bounced out to the second baseman Ryan Theriot his first time up. Slow bouncer to Ramirez. He'll go to second to get one and safe on the relay throw. Boy, that was quickly turned there by Theriot, who is being played at shortstop all year long until tonight.
Well, he played second base for the Cubs until Lou Piniella got there, and then they switched him over to shortstop. He's played there very good and played very well at shortstop ever since that time. Mike Fontenot had been the second baseman for the longest time, and those two made a pretty nice keystone duo.
Now Joey Votto singled his first time up into right field. He's down a strike. Fouls it away, third base side, and that ball is out of play. 1-2 to Joey Votto. St. Louis off and running tonight in Pittsburgh early on with a 2-0 lead. Cardinals won the opening game of that 4-game series in Philadelphia and then lost the next 3. Still 1-2 to Votto. My Philadelphia club at home. They are mighty tough to beat. Talked about Silva. His 31st birthday was just a little over a week and a half ago. And he's trying to get his career back on track, coming over to the National League. Very interesting article written a few days ago in the USA Today, and quoted a number of general managers about, something that should come as a surprise to no one, about pitchers that leave the American League and then come over to the National League, and how in recent years they've been unbelievably successful, obviously with no DH. And really, you go back, and 2 guys that made the moves to the other league the same year, and talk about a difference. Randy Johnson, after all the dominant years in Arizona, maybe losing a little off the fastball, then went to pitch for the Yankees. It was never the same there. There's a pitch in the dirt, and easily advancing to second is Brandon Phillips on a wild pitch. That very same year, Pedro Martinez, getting long in the tooth, clearly had lost a lot off his fastball, went from the American League to the National League, and just dominated for the New York Mets. Of course, Roy Halladay is great no matter what league he's pitching in, but boy, he's doing it in Philadelphia. 3-2 the count on Votto. Down the left field line, and again, it's out of play.
Well, I think that effect is really exemplified when you take a pitcher from the American League East where you're facing, the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Rays, every other day. It's a sold-out house in New York, or it's a sold-out house in Boston. And if you can carve up those hitters, you can carve them up anywhere. Silva originally started with the Phillies as a reliever. And a workhorse of a reliever, too. He worked in 68 or 69 games the first couple of years. Then he was traded to Minnesota in the Eric Milton trade when Milton went to Philadelphia.
That was a very good deal for Minnesota. Silva gave them some outstanding years. 10th pitch in the at-bat, and it's strike 3. Votto disagrees.
You don't see Joey Votto doing that very often. Dropping his bat, heading his way to first base, unless you really feel that that ball is inside. Now, Silva's got a little comeback on that fastball, but Votto thought it was inside. Wonder what our Fox track says. Pitch number 8, or make it 10. Wow.
Second strikeout of the game by Silva, and here's Scott Rowland. He hit a single into center field his first time up on a 0-2 pitch. He fouls it away here, strike 1. Scotty thought he had the entire day off on Wednesday. Miguel Cairo getting a start at third base. But then after the Reds lost the lead in the 9th inning, that one in the air to right. And backing up on it, making the grab is Fukudome, and that'll end the inning. A hit, a man left. We've played 3, all Cubs so far. Ballpark by JTM. Food, family, fun, JTM. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by GMC, we are professional grade. Starlin Castro with a bullet into center field, his second major league at bat. And that's a loud out. Castro homered in his first major league at bat, with 2 men aboard back in the second inning. Castro, by the way, becomes the 105th player in the history of baseball to hit a home run in his first at bat. Unbelievably, it's the 3rd time it's happened in the major leagues this year. And the 6th time in Cubs history. I was there when Jim Bollinger did it. He was a pitcher back in 1992. But this year you have Castro joining Atlanta's Jason Hayward and Minnesota's Luke Hughes hitting home runs in their first major league at bat. Two and one, pitcher against pitcher with one out in the fourth inning, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes as Silva fouls it away. Big breaking ball to strike 3 called, and that's strikeout number 3 in the game for Homer Bailey. Time now for our AT&T trivia question tonight. Who is the Cubs leader in base hits since the 2000 season? Of course, their leader during the 1990s was Major League Baseball's hits leader during that decade. Our old buddy Mark Grace. He led the entire major leagues in hits and doubles during the decade of the 1990s. That's a stunner to me, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you think about all the great players in the
either.
1990s. I mean, to lead in not only hits but doubles, pretty good. Line drive caught by Brandon Phillips in a 1-2-3-4 for Homer Bailey. So the Reds will come to the plate. Bruce, Gomes, Stubbs, they're hoping for more, trailing by 5. Five to nothing as they come to bat here in the bottom half of the fourth inning against Carlos Silva. Silva was in trouble in the first inning. He allowed back-to-back 2-out hits to Votto and Roland, then walked Jay Bruce, but was able to get out of the inning by retiring Johnny Gomes and gets Bruce on a weak pop-up and foul ground down the left field line. Let's take a look at our AT&T trivia question answer now. The Cubs hits leader since 2000 is, you figured Aramis Ramirez or Derek Lee. I think the only reason Ramirez is because he came a year earlier, right?
Sounds good to me.
Of course, Derek Lee was on that Florida Marlins team, which won the National League Championship Series over the Cubs. And what an unbelievable series that was in 2006. Cubs had a 3-1 lead in the series, as Gomes bangs one by Starlin into left field, a base hit. Josh Beckett came back and won Game 5 of that series in Florida to make it 3 games to 2 in 2003. And then, of course, they got to Wrigley Field. The Cubs had the lead in the 8th inning. They were 5 outs away from their first trip to the World Series since 1945. And then a ground ball that went through the air, the legs of the shortstop. A lot of people remember the Steve Bartman situation on the foul ball down the left field line. I still swear to this day, and I was doing the game that night, there's no way Moises Alou would have ever caught that ball. But the Marlins in the 8th inning that night scored 8 runs. 8 runs in the 8th inning. Mark Pryor, their starter, was cruising in the 8th. And a little foul ball down the left field line. Alou went up to get it. And Steve Bartman got a hand on it. Alou jumping up and down in frustration brought so much attention to it. But of course, that was one ball that was hit in what turned out to be an 8-run 8th inning. They came back for Game 7. Cubs got out in front early, and the Marlins came back to beat them.
Now, my kind of trivia question, where is Steve Bartman now?
Well, you know, it's a very sad story.
Is it?
I mean, you know, I tell you, it's really one of the saddest things I can ever remember being around. There's a double play, and that'll end the inning. We'll talk more about that when we come back. Reds trail at the end of 4, 5-0. In your first major league at bat. A 3-run home run in his major league debut by 20-year-old Starlin Castro. That put the Cubs out in front 3-0 in the 2nd inning. They got a 2-run home run by Marlon Byrd in the 3rd. And lead as we open the 5th, 5-0. Fukudome batting for the 3rd time as a single and is struck out. Breaking ball in there, a strike. 1-1 to Fukudome. They call that high. Well, look like a pretty good pitch. So it's 2-0, I beg your pardon. Bailey has walked the leadoff batter in 2 of the innings. And it just so happens that in both of those innings, they were scoring innings.
There's that 80% rule.
Nowhere close to the strike zone. And there's a walk to Fukudome to open the 5th. Well, don't forget, guys, this Sunday, Mother's Day, and at the ballpark, Mom Appreciation Day. The first 10,000 moms in attendance on Mother's Day receive a fashionable red scarf thanks to Conn's. For tickets to the Mother's Day game and the entire weekend Cubs series, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. And we understand that the Riverfront Club, which is that beautiful restaurant down the first base line, generally reserved for season ticket holders, will be open to the public for Mother's Day. So, you know, all of us, and maybe I shouldn't speak for all of us, there goes a runner. And no throw down to second base. So Fukudome picks up his second steal of the year. And it's 2-0 to Derek Lee. 2-1. But to finish your thought, you know, maybe sometimes you want to take your mom somewhere for brunch, something like that on Mother's Day. You drop the ball, now you're scrambling around to get in somewhere. Everybody's booked up. Well, if you bring her down here, they're going to have a beautiful brunch up there at the Riverfront Club. So come on down.
I'll tell you what, that is a beautiful restaurant. Do a great job with food down there. I just wish I'd get invited back sometime.
Well, who took you the first time?
I snuck in.
Oh, you did? Okay. Fine. So you mean the next time you're invited will be the first time you're
Well, that would be true. Yeah.
All right. 3-1 to Derek Lee. Well, you got to wonder how much longer Bailey's in this game. A leadoff walk. 3-1 now to Derek Lee. And there's another walk. And that's 5 of them for Homer Bailey, and his night's over. No official signal given yet by Dusty Baker. And now he calls for relief. Our Skyline Chili pitching change will summon Micah Owings from the bullpen. We're back in a moment. By Honda, the Reds at 500, 3.5 behind the Cardinals. And the Reds playing one game better than the next closest team over their last 10. But they trailed tonight here 5-0. Homer Bailey allows 5 hits, 5 runs, 5 walks. And that's so far. The 2 men on base, his responsibility in his 4+ innings. And now taking over on the mound, right-hander Mike Owings.
Now, Mike Owings is one of these guys that pitches more than 1 inning when he comes into a ball game. 9th time that he has been in a game. The longest stint of the year for Micah is 4 innings. He's got a chance to surpass that tonight. Looking for a ground ball.
Marlon Byrd lifts a fly ball down the right field line. Fukudome back to the bag as if to tag and will not dare test the strong left throwing arm of Jay Bruce.
Might be one of the best in the league right there.
So one away for Aramis Ramirez, who bounced to third in the first inning, drew a walk in the third. 2 on, 1 out. Strike 1 to Ramirez. We go back to the 2007 year, and the Cubs and Reds have played 8 3-game series here at Great American Ballpark. And each team has won 4. There's a bleeder in the shallow center that'll fall in for a hit. They're going to hold the runner at third. So a jam shot base hit for Aramis Ramirez, but a hit nonetheless to load him up.
And a walk and a base hit tonight for Ramirez. A guy came in who was mightily struggling. Batting average under 150.
Alfonso Soriano with the bases loaded. Still a manageable game here at 5-0. But boy, you start getting into a deeper hole than that.
Well, with the way the Silver's throwing, and the Reds have not really done a whole lot of damage on him. They've only got 4 hits through their first 4 frames. If you let Soriano or anybody else in this lineup knock a few extra runs in, it might be tough to come back.
1-1 to Soriano.
Well, you'd love to see Alfonso do here. Same thing he did last time. Little one hopper to the second baseman. Double play gets you out of the inning.
One ball and 1 strike to Soriano. And a foul ball out of play off to the first base side.
You know, we can't tell with his hat on, but it looked like Michael Owings went out and got himself a Johnny Gomes haircut.
It does.
Actually, your hair, a little bit along those lines as well.
No, that is a bona fide mohawk. Mine is just a buzz cut. That thing they got going, you can see the back of his. I mean, that's a mohawk.
There it is.
Yeah.
You ever been tempted for a real mohawk?
Not even remotely for a sliver of a second.
How about for your son Luke?
There's no chance that'll happen either.
They don't allow those in Temple Terrace, do they?
No, they don't allow those in our house. That's not going to happen. Swing and a miss, and that's strike 3 to Soriano.
I'll tell you, you know, what a great way to mix your pitches up for Micah Owings. Change-ups, fastball away, fastball inside. You know, his arm angle is a little bit higher this year. Not a lot, but a little bit. Keeps his fingers on top of the ball better. Really rides that ball inside. Even though it looked like Ramon Hernandez was set up outside, he threw it right by Soriano up and in.
Now Giovanni Soto with 2 away and the bases loaded. There's ball 1.
You know, the numbers on Giovanni Soto really amazing. Not the batting average. His batting average is great, but the fact that he comes into this ball game tonight with 21 bases on balls and only 12 strikeouts. There are not too many players around that play regularly that have that many more walks than they do strikeouts. This guy's a great contact hitter.
Well, Soto came to spring training with a real chip on his shoulder and a lot to prove, and really it was most of his doing which led to all the problems he had last year. We talked about he won the Rookie of the Year in 2008. And it was very evident from the first day he showed up in Arizona for spring training in 2009 that he had done very little, if anything, to get ready for his sophomore year.
Well, one of the things that really set him back, and it usually was an excuse that most pitchers used last year was the WBC, the World Baseball Classic. The problem was that Soto made his team, but he didn't play. So he just kind of sat around, and he didn't get the drills in, didn't get the hitting repetition, didn't get the catching that you get in spring training, and he was really behind everybody when he got to spring training. That and the fact he was overweight.
1-2 to Soto, and a fastball sails away to even the count.
Now this is the one you want to get him on. Get a decision on a 2-2 count. One of the favorite sayings of Robin Roberts.
The late Robin Roberts. That didn't miss by much. We'll talk more about Robin Roberts, Chris, in a little while. I know he was your coach collegiately at South Florida.
What a man.
And the sad news of his passing yesterday. 83 years young. 3-2 to Soto. And we'll do it again. I know you thought the world of him.
He was just a great man, a great gentleman, really a smart baseball man. And, you know, for a guy that would accumulate all the terrific numbers, Hall of Fame career that he had, and then to devote 8 years of his post-baseball life coaching a college baseball team. I mean, he didn't need to do that. He just did it for the love of the game, be around young guys wanting to play.
To the count on Giovanni Soto. And there's ball 4. And that makes it 6-0. I'm not going to use it as an excuse, but you know, you almost wonder about a lot of that dancing around out there at second base before that 3-2 pitch. You know, Cabrera had come charging in behind the runner at second. I mean, again, not using it as an excuse.
Well, if you're not going to put a play on, all it can do is disrupt the pitcher.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to possibly put a play on, then go ahead and do it. But a 3-2 count, you've got to throw the ball over the plate. Yeah, you really can't use it as an excuse. I mean, Mike is not looking at him. Now he sees him a little bit. I don't think it was distracting there. You just got to be able to throw a strike there. Ball just slipped out of his hand, looked like.
Strike one to Starlin Castro, who hit a home run in his first big league at bat with 2 aboard in the second inning, and hit a laser. It was caught by Drew Stubbs in center field in the 4th. So that run is charged to Homer Bailey, and the runner at third still belongs to Homer Bailey.
Hey, we want to send out our best to our good buddy, Uncle Bill Spiegel.
Indeedy.
Just recently had surgery. I know he's recovering, Bill. I know you're doing well. Thanks for hiring me 18 years ago. George sends his regards, too.
Just saw Bill up in the booth last homestand.
Yeah.
Great to see him. Two and one to Starlin Castro. Bases loaded, 2 are out. Boy, he had a big hack right there and fouls it straight back.
Well, he's been up twice. Castro has. He's hit a home run. Got a laser beam of a line drive on the first pitch he saw us last time up. And he's hacking, taking time, getting back in the batter's box. This guy's got more administrations than Sean Casey.
2-2. And fouled out of play. And I think you got to look right there at the home plate umpire, Brian Runge, saying something to Castro, probably something along the lines of, all right, come on, let's go. Let's play ball here.
Or get in the box, Rook. Now, they may not say that anymore, but back in the day, that's exactly what you'd hear. And if it was certain pitchers on the mound, they would say it for you. and don't make eye contact with me either.
Two and two the count on Castro. Bases loaded, 2 are out. And there's ball 3.
Well, you know, when Micah Owings gets on the side of that fastball right there, he gets his wrists low and his fingers low. If you let that ball go a little bit early, it'll run sideways, way into a right-hander. That's what he has done to that pitch, and he did it on the 3-2 pitch to the previous batter. Stay on top of it just a little bit more.
So again, 3 balls and 2 strikes with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And there's a rocket into left center that'll drive in 3 more. What a major league debut for Starlin Castro. Throw to third, and he is in there with a 3-run triple. Castro has knocked in more runs in 2 at-bats tonight than the Cubs scored in 3 games in Pittsburgh.
I'll tell you what, he can hit. He knew a fastball was coming. It slices the gap in left center field, and this kid can run. I mean, he was boot scooting it around the bases right here. And all the Cubbies faithful that came dressed in their blue are happy about this young man. The long-awaited arrival. It ain't that easy, kid.
Silva roller back to Owings. Major damage done in the Cub fifth. They score 4 and lead 9-0. Eric Anthony and Eric Davis hit back-to-back home runs in the bottom of the 12th inning off reliever Todd Worrell in a Reds 3-2 win over the Dodgers. Of course, that year before, the Reds beat the Dodgers 3-0 in the Division Series before meeting the Atlanta Braves in the National League Championship Series. But tonight belongs so far to that young man. In his major league debut, just called up to the big leagues before the game tonight, 20-year-old Starlin Castro, the #1 prospect in the Cubs organization, and all he's done is hit a 3-run home run and a 3-run triple. Wow. Welcome to the big leagues, young man. Guy's well over halfway to knocking in as many runs as a lot of guys who've been playing in the big leagues all year long and playing every day. There's a base hit in the left field by Ramon Hernandez to begin the Reds' 5th inning. Micah Owings will bat for the first time. Final numbers on Homer Bailey, they are not pretty. 4+ innings, 5 hits, 5 walks, 7 earned runs. And Bailey in just 4+ innings through 94 pitches in the game.
Rough night.
Owings hooks one down the left field line, foul.
Hey, Reds fans, check out this year's Rookie of the Year. JTM's new 32-count microwavable burgers. Look for them in their yellow bag today. JTM, food, family, fun.
Had a great time with the boys from JTM a couple of days ago.
Now, do we have a microwave here in the booth?
No. But
they've got one up here somewhere.
Oh, well, of course. I mean, Denise and Gwen and the entire crew back there, they have one.
They don't want you over there messing with their microwave, though.
Those are my friends.
They still don't want you over there messing with their microwave.
Oh, yeah. Big Al back there, Demetrius, all the guys back there working. They don't mind.
I don't really think they like you walking through the kitchen during the day.
You know what? They might not. But, you know, I get to catch up with them, kind of find out what's happening. I like stopping back there and just catching up on things, see how everybody's doing. It's a great crew we have back there.
Oh, there's no doubt. That's a great crew.
Nicole back there as well. With Glenn and Denise.
Job.
Yep. Two and two on Mike Owings. Up under his chin with a fastball. That'll get your attention.
Oh, the good thing is if you're in the National League, you get a chance to show Silva what that's like.
Puts a charge into one into right center field. Take that, he says, Mr. Silva. So Micah Owings with a 2-run home run to right center field. And the Reds on the board. It's a 9-2 game. First home run this year for Micah Owings, but of course in his career that's now 9 of them.
Well, he hit 3 last year. And he hangs right in there. Silva trying to go outside after that pitch went underneath his elbows, and Micah just got a whole bunch of it.
Guy's a good hitter.
Man,
just a good hitter.
Doing the pitchers union proud.
Well, he is, if not the president and CEO,
lifetime member.
Yes, absolutely. Emeritus.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, when he takes BP, though, with the other pitchers, you're standing around, you're hearing the guys hit. Most of them hit like it's a wet Inquirer they're taking up there. And all of a sudden you hear crack, and you look up and you think, you know, maybe Albert Pujols jumped into the cage, and there's Owings going deep. Went down that mohawk. That away.
Well, Cabrera was on his way to first. He thought that was ball 4. Instead, it's strike 3, so he'll make a right turn. Third strikeout of the game for Carlos Silva.
Well, that cannot make an umpire feel very good. to see Cabrera on that strike 3 call run all the way down to first base, knowing that he had been called out. He's been around too long to do that.
To Brandon Phillips, who has bounced out to second and bounced into a fielder's choice to the third baseman Ramirez. 1-1 to Brandon Phillips. Everything so far has gone the Cubs' way here tonight. But we're only in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Yeah, we got a ways to go yet. Now, Carlos Silva last time, he had gone into his last start having given up only 1 home run in 4 outings. He gave up 3 the last time out. That was against the home run hitting Arizona Diamondbacks. They'd launch on a regular basis. Normally a guy that keeps the ball in the yard.
On the ground to Derek Lee, and that's a second out here in the Reds' 5th. Well, Philadelphia all over Atlanta tonight. That game in the 7th inning, and the Phillies are leading 7-0. Good series starts tonight in New York. We just saw the Mets. The Reds beat them 2 out of 3. But the Mets lead the Giants 4-3. That game in the 7th inning at Citi Field. The Pirates have scored twice and now trail in the bottom of the 6th inning at home to the Cardinals by a run. San Diego an early 4-0 lead at Houston, and the Marlins and Nationals are tied at 2 in the 7th. Later tonight, Milwaukee will be in Arizona, and Colorado at LA, and there's a liner into right field. It'll one-hop the wall, and that'll be a long single to right field by Joey Votto. Joey's 2nd hit tonight.
A little bit of an off-speed pitch right there. That may have been a slider. Trying to get down and in on him. One of the rare sliders that Silva's thrown. He's been primarily fastball changeup tonight. Just trying to move the ball in and out. So far, pretty effective.
Scott Rowland a single to center field in the 1st inning. Flied out to right in the 3rd. And that one looped in the air down the first base line. Foul. Boy, look at Joey Votto. Almost all the way to 3rd base. Not taking for granted, even though, it pretty much looked like when it left the bat that ball was going to be a foul ball. But Votto's not umpiring. Going hard no matter what. That's what you like to see.
That's the way you play the game. It's the way you get respect around the league. You get respect to your fans.
Down to left field line. That is a fair ball. It'll go to the wall. Votto on his way to 3rd. They're going to hold him there on a double by Rowland. Well. You're down 7. And now you have 2 on. Well, you pop a long one here, and you're back in this thing.
Scott Rowland's a pretty good high ball hitter, and he got a high fastball right there. He laces it right down the line. And yes, waist high is high. For a guy like Silva, especially, who lives down around the knees.
Larry Rothschild, of course, a former pitching coach for the Reds.
Well, how many years has Larry been in Chicago now? He's been there for ever.
Yes, he has. Highly thought of pitching coach around baseball for a long time.
Yeah, he was only the Reds pitching coach, though, for 44 days, right?
Mm-hmm. It's in his 9th season as a Cubs pitching coach. He came aboard after, of course, being relieved of his duties. He was the initial manager, as many may recall, of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Was Larry Rothschild.
Played against Larry when he went to Florida State.
1-1 to Jay Bruce. Bruce has walked and fouled out down the left field line. 1-1 to count on Bruce. Hammered a fastball off his leg somewhere. Either the foot, the shin, the knee.
Maybe all of the above.
Yep. One ball and 2 strikes to Bruce. And it's served into left center field. This will bring in a couple of more runs. So a 2-out, 2-run single by Bruce, and now it's a 9-4 game. It's a nice piece of hitting right there.
Yeah, he was working on that exact cut in batting practice today, taking that low pitch and staying on it, making sure that his right shoulder stays down and his head doesn't pull off. And he reaps the benefit of a line drive to left field, scores a couple of them.
Little life in this Reds team, seemingly for the first time all night tonight. They're still down 5. And Johnny Gomes, the 8th man to bat in what has been a 4-run 5th inning so far against Silva. And there's action in the Chicago bullpen for the first time tonight. Out of play to Gomes. 1 ball and 1 strike. Johnny is popped up to left, ending the first inning when the Reds had him loaded, and had a single to left field in the 4th. Justin Byrd is getting loose in the Chicago bullpen, a right-hander. Left-hander Sean Marshall is now joined Byrd, getting loose in the Chicago pen. 1-2 now to Johnny Gomes. There's a shot into left field. Soriano tries to cut it off. And Gomes will slam on the brakes at first. On to third goes Bruce. And now things becoming quite interesting.
Now Lou Piniella's got to be wondering, all right, what the heck's going on here? We couldn't score any runs in Pittsburgh. We got swept by the Pirates. Come here to Cincinnati, jump out to a 9-0 lead. And the Fallon Reds are coming on back. Base hit right here makes this maybe real interesting.
The Reds are still down 9-4, but they have runners on the corners, and Drew Stubbs becomes the 9th man to bat in this 5th inning. Stubbs is flied out to right and bounced into a double play. Stubbs' biggest hit this year came against the Chicago Cubs. And if I recall, it came on a Friday night as well, when he hit a grand slam in the 8th inning. Puts a strike on the outside corner. That was the opening weekend of the season. That's one of just 2 home runs that Stubbs has so far on the year. Foul out of play. Well, that was in the 8th inning in a series opener on that Friday night, the first weekend, when he hit it against Mr. Carida. Reds came back to win that game, getting 4, all on the Stubbs grand slam in the 8th inning, and had to hang on when the Cubs left the bases loaded in the 9th. 1-2 to Drew Stubbs. In the air, left center field. Soriano over, and the inning is over. Reds strand 2, score 4, and at the end of 5, they're down by 5.
outdoor luxury suite. We got multiple groups here tonight, including PNG, and they've even let some Cubs fans up here, but it's a terrific group place for a group outing. Contact the Reds if you would like to watch the game in luxury. Time now for our text poll question. It's brought to you by Meyer. And tonight we want to know, how should a manager deal with lackadaisical play? 1, fine the player. 2, bench the player. 3, rip them in the press. Or 4, deal with it privately. Text your choices to 37664. 37664. Standard text message rates apply. We'll have the results coming up. Very interesting question, boys.
Strike one to Ryan Theriot. Micah Owings on the mound, beginning his first full inning of work. He had to try and clean up some of the mess left behind by Homer Bailey in the 5th inning. Cabrera will have to hurry. Couldn't get it out of his glove, and then no chance to get the speedy Theriot. That'll be an infield hit.
Ryan Theriot smelling base hit right out of the batter's box. Slow grass here at Great American Ballpark. Doug Gallant's got a great job of making that grass nice and thick. So those slow rollers like that give a speedy runner like Theriot a chance to beat it out. I think maybe had Cabrera been able to get that ball out of his glove at first offing, he'd had a better chance.
Kosuke Fukudome, a single, a strikeout, a walk, and a run scored so far tonight. He also stole a base after drawing the leadoff walk in that 4-run Chicago 5th inning. Reds got 4 runs in the bottom of the inning. But still a long way to go in this one. Only in the top of the 6th. And it's a 5-run game. Fukudome beginning his 3rd year with the Cubs after signing and leaving his home in Japan. Of course, the first 3 months of his first year here, he was one of the best players in the National League. Wound up on the All-Star team, and by the time the year was over, he was not even in the postseason starting lineup. Runner goes, pitch taken, throw to second, and they got him. Whoa, they called him safe. Well, the throw was there in plenty of time. Unless Cabrera missed the tag, it looked like the ball beat Theriot to the bag.
You know, it looked like Theriot slid to the backside of the bag right there. And maybe that was the reason why the tag wasn't put on him. Yep.
Good call. In the air behind the plate, Hernandez will give it a look, but it's out of play.
You know, you saw, though, a good reason why it'd be a good idea for infielders to keep the tag on the runner rather than to flash tag him and then pull it back, because there was a time there that Theriot hit the bag with his legs and then transferred the contact with the bag to his hand. Watch first. He gets it with his legs as he's being tagged right here. And then when Cabrera pulls the glove away, Theriot leaves the bag. So if you have the tag on him during that time, you're going to get him out. A lot of infielders will flash tag him like that and then hold the glove up in kind of a demonstrative way to show the umpire I still have the ball, and sometimes you get a call that way. What do you think about this text poll? What do you
think about it?
1 through 4. Pick a number.
Go ahead.
I got to go number 4. You know, having been a big league player, I've been fined, benched, ripped in the press. That was the worst of all of them. Made me hate the manager, actually. It didn't really make me want to be a better player. And it wasn't lackadaisical play, but so I think if I was a manager, I'd deal with it privately. In fact, I posed that same question to Lou Piniella before the ball game today. He says, you know, I deal with it privately. You know, nowadays you can't fine these players. They're making so much money. The maximum that a player can be fined by a manager is $500. And if you're making $15 million a year, that's ashtray change. So financially, you're not going to get to him. Ripping him in the press is just going to make you hate him. And if you bench him, and he's your best player, you may not be helping the team. So you deal with it privately, and you say, hey, listen, I need a little more out of you than what you're giving me. Do you have it in you? And you kind of challenge the player. The idea is to try to trick him into playing hard.
Hooked into right field. This will bring in a run. So the Reds got 4 of the runs back and give one up. An infield hit by Terrio, a double by Fukudome, and the Cubs have double digits. They have scored twice the number of runs through 5+ innings tonight than they scored in 27 innings of baseball in Pittsburgh.
He kind of hits as he's running out of the box, throwing his top hand. Fukudome is, and guy continues to swing a hot bat. He has been on 3 times tonight. So when you're managing Luke's team, he's a little bit older. And they have a little lackadaisical play. How do you handle it?
See, I think the caveat here is,
It's going to rain hard, isn't it?
in my opinion, are we talking about something that happens one time, or are we talking about the same player where it happens multiple times? Because that dramatically changes the answer, in my opinion. And really, 2 of those things could be the same thing. Just one happens before the other. You have a private conversation with somebody so you don't have to bury him in the press.
Right.
And then you can tell him, you know what? Why don't you just sit down for a couple days? So, I mean, I think there are a lot of veins off this primary artery here, or arteries off this main vein.
You know, it used to be, and Piniella kind of touched on this, and both of these managers have had this issue in their managerial career, some more recent than others. Lou's had it. I think he was blistered at a couple of his players earlier in the year. Certainly last year he had a player on his ball club that rubbed him the wrong way in that respect. Dusty's felt the same way. You know, it used to be, though, that players on your team would govern that. You know, the veteran players, even if you were a veteran, if you were on a team with Pete Rose, he would not allow that to happen more than once. The manager would never have to say a thing. I mean, could you imagine trying to do that with Rose and Morgan around?
No, I think there have been some other guys in recent years that are the same way.
I think there's a lot of teams that have that kind of leadership. But it's rarer and rarer nowadays.
Derek Lee caught on strikes. Now Marlon Byrd 1 for 3 at a 2-run home run back in the 3rd inning. Owings in front now. Marlon Byrd at no balls and 2 strikes. Byrd certainly a late bloomer in his career. Talked about being signed to a big free agent contract after an outstanding season, by far his best in the major leagues last year with the Rangers. That ball swung on and fouled out of play. I mean, you know, Byrd was initially drafted in 1999, and 2 years later he was in the big leagues with Philadelphia. Had a pretty decent year in 2003, and really then became pretty much a part-time player after that through 04. 05 was in the minor leagues, moved on to Washington. Spent 2006 with the Nationals, only hit .223. And then he went to the Rangers, got together with Rudy Jaramillo their hitting coach at the time, who incidentally is now the Cubs hitting coach. And his entire career got turned around. Last year had 43 doubles, 20 home runs, and 89 runs batted in. It's quite rare to see that from a player to hang around 4, 5, 6 years and then all of a sudden take off. Of course, doing it in Texas has almost become like doing it in Colorado before the humidor. I mean, there have been guys that all of a sudden have monster offensive years there, go other places, and they're not the same guy.
Well, he always had pretty good batting averages. I mean, you look up and down his years that he was in and around 300, it seems like every other year. And when he got to Texas, he had 307 one year, 298. But what happened last year is he doubled his home run production, went from 10 to 20. And Texas can do that. I mean, that wind blows out of there hard and hot every night.
We just got finished seeing another guy who had a monster year in Texas and has never been the same player since, Gary Matthews Jr. In the air to right center field, and tagging up is Fukudome, and that ball hit him as he got a step in front of the third base bag. The Hall of Fame baseball writer Hal McCoy shares his memories of the late, great Ernie Harwell. And we mentioned you can chat with Hal right now during the game by going to foxsportsohio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO.
Is Hal here at the ballpark, or is he in the man cave? You see him over there?
No. He's probably watching us on the tube right now.
Man cave.
Swung on and fouled out of play. And for those that don't know,
the man cave of Hal McCoy is his garage that evidently he's moved his automobiles and his lawnmowers and his weed whackers elsewhere, and he's set it up with a TV, easy chair, an ashtray so he can puff down on those nice Cuban cigars that he's able to collect and bring a little baseball into his house.
Joey Votto reaches into the stands, and how about that play? Very casually, just sort of leaned in, stretched out. Take a look at this.
Look in your other hand, you got a diamond watch.
The Coors Light Freeze Cam. Starlin Castro making his major league debut tonight. Hit a 3-run home run his first time up. Had a 3-run triple in the 5th inning. That was a Coors Light Freeze Cam brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Marlon Byrd a home run, and a rough night for Homer Bailey. Gives up 5 hits, 5 walks, 7 earned runs in 4+ innings tonight. And the night is over for Cubs starter Carlos Silver. Justin Byrd will take over on the mound with the Cubs leading 10-4.
Berg, another big guy, taking over for Silva, who is 6'4", about 250. Berg, 6'3", 230, born in Antigua, Wisconsin.
Antigua, Wisconsin. I wonder where that is. I've been all over that state. That's a beautiful state. I have not been to that town.
I'll have to check it out for you.
That is one nice state, Wisconsin.
What do you like about it?
Everything. I love the people. I mean, you don't get any more grounded. They're much like the people in Ohio. Down to earth, grounded, fouled away by Hernandez.
You been to a football game up there in Madison?
Oh, yeah.
What's that like?
It's a lot of fun. The throw place ain't bad either. Lambeau.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Madison, Wisconsin, home of the Badgers. And our good friend Barry Alvarez, of course, who resurrected that program literally from the dead. Won 3 Rose Bowls there. I've been to a lot of little towns in Wisconsin. Green Lake, Wisconsin. Of course, they have some great summer resorts. Lake Geneva there. They have Door County, Wisconsin. Kohler, Wisconsin is a world famous golf.
4 nice golf courses there.
Yeah. So, now the wintertime, it's a different ballgame.
They all kind of look the same, don't they?
Indeed, they do. Flat and white. Hernandez gone on strikes to open up the Reds' 6th inning. Well, tomorrow on Fox Saturday Baseball, yes, indeed, the renewal of one of the great rivalries in baseball. The Yankees are in Fenway to take on the Red Sox. Coverage presented by Budweiser at a special time of 3 o'clock following This Week in Baseball at 2:30 on Fox. The Yankees and the Red Sox. Did you say Antigua, Wisconsin? Is that what you said?
Antigua.
Antigua.
It's in Langlade County.
Yes. Mark Wagner is pulling it up, and you have it as well. A population of 8,560. Now, that was the last U.S. Census in 2000. Antigua is the center of farming and lumbering, and it manufactures principally of lumber, chairs, furniture, doors and blinds, hubs and spokes, and other wood products. Micah Owings is able to leg it out. I'm sure that'll be ruled an infield hit. I mean, Owings was really hustling up the line. Well, we'll see how they score it.
Well, it goes right down the line. The third baseman's got to go a few steps over. Now, is a good throw going to get him or not? I would say a good throw would get him. Probably going to drop an error on him.
It is an error. And a final thought on Antigua. It is located 160 miles northwest of Milwaukee. So you know what? You learn something every day. In the dirt, that one gets away from Soto, and on his second goes Micah Owings.
So with a population of 8,000, you probably would suggest that Justin Byrd, that man right there, probably the most famous resident of Antigua.
Well, he's right there in a neck-and-neck race with the likes of James Bradley, the son of John Bradley. Of course, he's the author of Flags of Our Fathers and Flyboys, A True Story of Courage. Of course, John Bradley, a Navy corpsman, took part in the raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. Wow. Yeah. So,
I give him a slight nod.
Really?
Yeah.
3-1 on Orlando Cabrera. 3-1 the count on the Red shortstop. And there's a ground ball into center field, a base hit. They're going to hold Owings. Reds have runners on the corners with 1 out.
Orlando Cabrera. Second base hit since being put into that #1 spot in the batting order. A ground ball, a base hit, and a strikeout, another base hit for Orlando tonight.
So here comes Brandon Phillips. A very quiet night for the Reds second baseman. 3 ground outs. 1 to second, 1 to third, 1 to first. Still only in the bottom of the 6th inning here at Great American Ballpark. And here's strike 1 to Phillips. Opening game of this 3-game series tomorrow night, same time, 7:10. And tickets are available still tomorrow, so call 381-REDS, log on to reds.com, or just come on down. 7:10 tomorrow night. And then an afternoon tilt on Mother's Day. Pitching matchup tomorrow will feature Aaron Harang against Tom Gorzolani. Then Mike Leake and Ryan Dempster on Sunday. Down to third. There's 1. There's 2. Inning over. We go to the 7th, 10-4 Cubs. AT&T Rethink Possible by your Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers. And by Grainger, with over 900,000 products for the ones who get it done. 10 runs, 9 hits for the Cubs. 4 runs, 11 hits for the Reds. When you look at the 5th inning alone, the Cubs scored 4 runs on only 2 hits. They got 3 walks in the inning. The Reds scored 4 runs in the bottom of the inning, and it took them 6 hits to get the 4 runs. Homer Bailey walked 5. Micah Owings has walked 1.
You know, the
Out
odd
of
thing,
those 6 walks, 5 of them have scored for the Cubs in the game.
the odd thing about Homer Bailey's walks, and I try to keep the chart as best I can, but it seemed like he was ahead of almost all the batters tonight. And all those walks came on like a 3-2 pitches. And he was right there. He's a pitch from getting out of the inning or getting out of the at-bat, and the at-bat would go longer. He'd miss here, he'd miss there. Pretty soon it's 3-2, and he'd walk them.
I think the only guy he fell behind right from the start of the at-bat was that guy right there, Soriano, when he walked in to begin the second inning.
Yep.
So Soriano, a base hit, his first hit tonight. And now Giovanni Soto. Talking about the Yankees and the Red Sox playing tomorrow on Fox. The Yankees are pounding Boston tonight. 9-2 that game at the end of 6. Base hit by Soto. So every time young Starlin Castro comes to the plate, the bases are littered with teammates. He had a 3-run home run in the second inning. He led off the fourth and lined out to center. And had a bases clearing 3-run triple his last time up. Price out to chat with Mike Owings. Already 51 pitches out of the bullpen.
He's an upbeat guy.
Oh,
Brian
yeah.
Price, boy, he's full of energy. He's a great communicator. You know, watches a lot of tape, but he doesn't get totally immersed in all the mechanics. I mean, a lot of it's approach. He'll end up paying dividends, but he's got some work to do on his staff so far. A lot left. He's got a lot of young pitchers. Got 3 pitchers in this rotation, 24 or younger.
Price grew up in one of the most picturesque communities in all of the United States, in Mill Valley, California. Went to Tamalpais High School there.
Where's that?
It's out across the Golden Gate Bridge, a little bit north of Sausalito. Absolutely spectacular. Mount Tamalpais is one of the most beautiful places you've ever seen. You stand on the top of it. You look one way and you can see the city of San Francisco. You look the other way right down on Stinson Beach, California. Man, it's nice. 1-1 is Starlin Castro.
He now lives in Phoenix.
Indeed he does. After playing collegiately at the University of California at Berkeley. And was drafted by the Minnesota Twins back in June 1980.
I think part of what Brian Price talked to Michael Owings about, like kind of tried to read his lips there, is about he's a good fastball hitter. And with that in mind, Michael Owings throwing back-to-back changeups now.
2-1 to Starlin Castro. And it's in the air. And playable for Joey Votto. So Castro makes an out with runners on base. First time that's happened tonight. And there are 2 away in the inning. And kind of finishing the thought on Brian Price. He was drafted 3 times. Once coming out of high school by the Twins. Then by the Orioles 3 years later in the 7th round. And then the next year pitched his 4th and final year in college. Was an 8th round draft pick by the Angels. But had elbow surgery 3 years later. And his career was never the same. Back in those days, they didn't have the wherewithal to take care of an elbow like they do now. There's Tyler Colvin. He'll come up and bat for Byrd. Byrd was in trouble there in the 6th, but got Brandon Phillips on a double play to end the threat. So 1 scoreless inning for Byrd. 0-2 to Colvin, who made the team out of spring training. You know, Colvin and Castro were the two guys that grabbed everybody's attention as far as the two young players in the Cubs camp during this spring. Well, we saw Colvin. He was getting a lot of playing time early in the year, and the guy's a good-looking hitter.
Lou Piniella tried to find at bats for him, too, telling us before the ball game that he will likely be in the lineup tomorrow and the next day. At least one of those 2 days, they'll have Colvin in the starting lineup.
A lot of people that see the Cubs on a regular basis tell you, were it not for big money contracts, is that one comes all the way back to the bricks. And boy, they've got big money contracts in that outfield. Soriano in left, Byrd now in center, and Fukudome in right. But were it not for the big money contracts, Colvin should be playing every day for this Cub team. But that's what happens with big market clubs.
So who makes that decision, though? Doesn't the manager want to win? Wouldn't you assume that he would go out there with the best chance to win regardless of the contracts, or is he being dictated who to play by the GM?
Swing and a miss, and Colvin gone on strikes. Well, apparently, Lou's tried to play all 5 guys in the outfield. I mean, that's been a bone of contention that Pinellas had, apparently running with the press the entire year. He's trying to get everybody some playing time of the 5 guys he has available in his outfield. And that's a real juggling act. Ryan Terrio the batter, and a weak roller to second. And a nice job by Micah Owings to get out of trouble. 2 hits, 2 left, middle of the 7th. Cubs lead 10-4. Great American Ballpark, the place to kick off your weekends. Don't miss the first Fireworks Friday of the year, May the 14th, presented by PNC. That's a week from tonight, the Reds and the Cardinals. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. And I got to tell you, Chris, you and I both agree, those Fireworks Fridays are spectacular. Tyler Colvin taking over in left field after pinch hitting a moment ago, and now on the mound, left-hander Sean Marshall having a solid year.
Boy, you're not kidding about that. He's all a reliever this year. He's been kind of back and forth, starter reliever last few years. In fact, his first year with the Cubs, his rookie year, started 24 games. They've got 3 lefties in the bullpen. Got a nice big curveball.
Up under Joey Votto's chin. Second time that's happened tonight to a Red batter. The other, Mike Owings, hit a home run on the next pitch.
Limbo, limbo.
Then you come back with that. Pretty good. Gone swinging Votto to begin the inning. Cubs got the scoring early and often tonight against Homer Bailey. They got 3 runs in the second inning. And Starlin Castro became the 105th player in the history of Major League Baseball. Strangely enough, the 3rd already this year to hit a home run in his first Major League at bat. Castro just activated and brought up from Double-A before the game tonight. He had a 3-run home run, then a 2-run homer by Marlon Byrd put the Cubs out in front 5-0. Fouled away by Roller. The Cubs tacked on 4 more in the 5th.
Sorry about that, Tom. I want to send out birthday wishes to a huge Reds fan, Bess Bushel. And I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Bess. Having your 95th birthday tomorrow. It's going to be at a big party tomorrow, so she won't be able to watch the game. But she's watching it tonight out on the west side. She's a friend of Ginny Camp's. And we pass along our birthday wishes to you, Bess.
Indeedy. 2 away. Well, after every Reds game, we'll break it all down for you on Reds Live. Brought to you by King's Honda and the King's Auto Mall. Visit King's Honda USA.com. Jay Bruce down a strike. So Marshall, a couple of strikeouts, taking over on the mound. Cubs blew this thing wide open with that 4-run 5th. And again, Castro in the middle of it all. He had a 3-run triple. He's knocked in 6 of the Cubs' 10 runs in a game. The Reds made it interesting there in the bottom of the 5th. They scored 4 times. They had 2 on. But Drew Stubbs flied out to left field, ending the inning. Cubs got to run right back the next half inning on a double by Fukudome, and that's where we stand here in the 7th. Jay Bruce fouls it away. 1-2. Jay a walk. A fly ball to left and a 2-run single in the 4-run 5th. Interesting note. The 6 RBIs in a Major League debut by Castro tonight, the most by any player in their Major League debut in Major League history. Wow, that is pretty impressive. Bruce can't believe that's strike 3, and I can't blame him. Somebody on the Reds is going to get run here tonight. Last play of the game, a double play. Acrobatically turned by the Reds duo of Phillips and Cabrera. Ten runs, 11 hits, an error, and 6 men left on base for Chicago. 4 runs, 11 hits, no errors, 8 left for the Reds. Carlos Fisher will now take over on the mound. Micah Owings went 3 innings. And allowed 3 runs. Owings struck out 3 batters and walked 1. It's 2-0 on Fukudome. He's been on base 3 times tonight. A single, struck out, drawn a walk, stolen a base, scored a run, and then knocked in a run with a double in the 6th inning. And there's a 4-pitch walk to begin the inning. Last time we saw Carlos Fisher, he was spectacular.
Yeah, he was at his best.
That was a game where he came in the 8th inning against the Mets and struck out the side. And then in a tie game, after the Reds tied it in the bottom of the 8th inning with back-to-back home runs by Votto and Roland, Cordero got beat on a Rod Barajas home run in the 9th, the only loss in the 3 games against New York. Now to Derek Lee. Lee singled in the 1st inning, walked and scored in the 3rd, walked and scored again in the 5th. And then Owings struck him out in the 6th inning. Tonight, the 4th meeting between these 2 teams this year, and all of them have occurred here at Great American Ballpark. There's a fly ball that'll drift out of play. The Reds, the very first weekend of this season, beat Chicago 2 out of 3 here. And the Reds will not go to Chicago, unbelievably will not go to Chicago until the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's a weekend there, right?
Yep, 4-day weekend there, and then they'll turn around and go back the first weekend of August. Rolling for 1, and that's all they're going to get. Now, those are the only 2 trips the entire year the Cubs will make to Chicago this year, both on weekends. In fact, the Reds and the Cubs will not play at all in the month of September. So I got to believe that the Cubs would then have what? One more trip here. Yes, they do. They come here the final weekend of August, August 27th, 28th, and 29th. So it'll be quite a while before we see Lou Piniella's team again after play on Sunday. 0-2 on Marlon Byrd.
Well, they're desperate to try to make something positive out of this road trip they're on. They lost 3 in a row to Pittsburgh. They play 3 here in Cincinnati. Then they go home for a 3-team homestand. I think they play the Marlins, the Rockies, and help me out here.
Marlins, the Pirates, and then the Rockies.
There you go.
Well, you talk about a road trip after that, not very long. But you go to Philadelphia, and Texas. The starting pitchers better be ready to roll.
You ain't kidding. Their bullpen better be getting some rest.
How about that trip? Did you see that game last night? The highlights of that game, the Rangers and the Royals. Oh. Josh Hamilton, big night last night. Good to see him healthy again.
It is.
2-2.
Did he?
In the air, left center field. Going back on it is Gomes, and that's up against the wall. They're going to hold the runner at third.
Well, Lou's going to come out and argue that. He's going to say that was a home run ball, the one above the yellow line. Mike Quaddy, the third base coach. And I would guess we're going to have a review.
Well, the third base umpire, Mike Winters, apparently has already told Lou Piniella, I'm going to go talk with the other umpires. And we may have a delay in this one while they check it out on replay.
Well, interesting tonight. You know, we have this play. The Reds have had this, 2 or 3 times so far this year. In the house tonight at Great American Ballpark is Northern Kentucky's own Randy Marsh, who is now an umpire supervisor, here to check up on the guys.
That is not a home run.
Hit right off the yellow line. Yeah. So
this should not take long.
It shouldn't.
So they'll just duck right underneath and take a look at the replays. And while we're waiting around, we'll let you know the Pirates have come back to tie the game against the Cardinals. They were trailing early on 2-0, then 3-2. They've tied it. That game has now gone to the ninth. There's a freeze where it hit.
It's got to go over that.
Strike. Oh, yeah.
Tom, we touched on a little bit earlier the passing of the Hall of Famer Robin Roberts.
Yep, your old college coach.
You know, he used to have some of the greatest little sayings. He'd say that there are 3 things important to pitching. 1 is you get a first pitch strike. 2 is you have 2 speeds on your curveball. Now, remember when he pitched back in the 50s with the Whiz Kids, they didn't use the term slider back then. So he meant have a fast curve and a slow curve, and nowadays you call that a slick curve and a slider. And the third thing, and we brought it up earlier tonight, was you always get a decision on a 2-2 count. Never want to go 3-2, because that's when it goes in the hitter's advantage, and, of course, the runners are off and running, too. But a great man. And, you know, I was looking through his numbers yesterday when I heard of his passing, and he had 6 years in a row in which he won 20 games and pitched 300 innings each year. And he would tell me, you know, Chris, most of the games I pitch first 7 innings and throw nothing but fastballs. Take a little bit off, run 1 in, run 1 away, take a little bit off, add some more. And then by the time I'd see a hitter for the 3rd or 4th time, I'd finally break out my curveball. How about 305 complete games? That's 20 a year for 15 years. Amazing. And a better man than he was a pitcher. Just a great guy, and baseball loses a real special person, Robin Roberts. Rapid Robin.
You know, one of his most memorable games among many in a Hall of Fame career came against the Reds. He gave up a home run the very first batter of the game and then retired the next 27 in a row.
Yeah.
One hitter.
That was one of his own personal trivia questions.
Really?
He would ask us, hey, what's a perfect game? Well, you retire 27 in a row. He said, I did that. Wasn't a perfect game.
So the ruling on the field stands. It is a double for Marlon Byrd. The Reds are going to bring their infield in, and Ramon Hernandez will come out and visit with Carlos Fisher before Aramis Ramirez steps to the plate. Cubs are already leading 10-4. We're in the 8th inning. I'm sorry for your loss, Mr. Welsh, because he was a friend of yours.
Yes, he was a friend, and a very good friend, and a very nice person. You know, when I was a kid, my dad brought me down to Crosley Field to watch the Reds play, and I believe it was the Cubs. And I think that was the one year that he played for the Cubs. In fact, Ron Santo was talking about that a little bit today. And he was pitching that game, and my dad was always a huge Philadelphia Phillies fan. So he had me go down and get his autograph. After he had warmed up, he was sitting on the bullpen bench. He was going to go in to pitch at the beginning of the game. And I went over to him and asked him a little scrap paper, asked him for his autograph. He looked around and said, "You know, kid, I'm not supposed to sign here. We're getting ready to pitch a game." He goes, "But I'll do it for you."
Really?
Yeah. So I still have that autograph. And years later, when he became my college coach in South Florida, and he would stand in sometimes and take some batting practice, and the pitchers would throw. I said, "Hey, Robin, it's a good thing you signed that autograph."
That's a great story. Mike Fontenot going to come up and pitch hit for the pitcher. And he hammers one down the right field line. That is a fair ball, and that is a grand slam just inside the fair pole. On the first pitch to Mike Fontenot, he makes it a 14-4 game. Wow.
This is the same team that scored a total of 5 runs in 3 games in Pittsburgh.
First pinch hit, grand slam by a Cub since Derek Lee did it against the White Sox back in May of 2007. So a pinch hit grand slam from Fontenot. This has been a drilling pretty much from the get-go tonight. Outside of the 4-run rally, the Reds at least tried to make it interesting in the bottom of the 5th. That ball clobbered into right field. Bruce looks up, and are they saying fan interference? They are. That's a double for Giovanni Soto. And Luke Pinella's not going to argue with that. A fan leaned over in the field of play and caught it. There's still only 1 out in this inning. Price back to the mound yet again. Wearing out a path tonight.
He's getting the sprints in.
Well, here comes Starlin Castro again. Well, what a night it's been for him, and a comebacker to the mound. And that'll be the second out of the inning. But Castro, if you weren't with us earlier, a 3-run home run, a 3-run triple. And we understand the 6 RBIs in a major league debut, the most ever by a player in his first game in the big leagues. Colvin bats for the second time. He struck out in the 7th inning, and he's down strike 1 this time. Phillips gloves to his left, and the inning is over. But a pinch hit grand slam by Mike Fontenot extends the Chicago lead to 10. Who get it done, and Starlin has starred here tonight. Young Mr. Castro brought to the major leagues, activated for the first time just before the series opener here in Cincinnati, and a major league record, 6 RBIs in a major league debut. Boy, he'll be on the phone more than likely to the wee hours of the night, phoning his homeland, I'm sure, in the Dominican Republic. I'm sure on satellite TV, many of them watching this game tonight. 20 years old. Young man now born in Cincinnati. Of course, his father hails from here, although James Russell did not grow up here. You may remember his father, Jeff Russell. An outstanding closer in the major leagues for a number of teams. Spent, what, a year and a half with the Reds. But for a long, long time, was a closer for the Texas Rangers. And that's where young James Russell grew up. Play down the left field line off the bat of Johnny Gomes. The third baseman for the Cubs is Jeff Baker, takes over for Aramis Ramirez. Baker was seeing some playing time at second base along with Mike Fontenot, and you got to believe that those starts at second for that duo will be few and far between. Now that Ryan Theriot has been moved from short over to second, and the arrival tonight of Starlin Castro. Obviously, every night will not be like this for Castro. But they'll be casting his bust for Cooperstown before the end of this season.
Well, it's a learning experience, and he showed tonight that he can hit a hanging breaking ball at a high slider. What I'm surprised the Reds didn't do is to find out if he can hit a good inside fastball. That's usually the first thing that you test rookies with. And when you can show them you have quick enough hands to do that, then they start going and doing the other stuff. But it won't be long before the league gets a book on him and starts pitching to his weaknesses. But he's had one tremendous night tonight.
Two and two to count on Johnny Gomes, leading off the Reds' 8th inning, and he's gone on strikes. That's 4 Reds to strike out in a row after Marshall, fan aside, his only inning of work. Well, fans that attend the game tomorrow will receive a 2010 Cincinnati Reds team photo thanks to Smart Travel. Get your tickets now by calling 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. Come on down tomorrow. We understand a weather front is rolling through tonight. Here's a lazy pop-up by Drew Stubbs, and they're 2 away in the inning. The high today was in the mid-80s in Cincinnati. Tomorrow the high is supposed to be right around 60. But we're expecting sunny skies and a very pleasant night. So if you're coming down, make sure you bring a pullover along or a jacket. Might get a little chilly here tomorrow night. But no threat of rain, at least from what we're told. It's supposed to be a very pleasant day tomorrow. And by the way, the same old's true, we understand, for Sunday. So if you're coming on Mother's Day, make sure Mom brings a jacket, a sweater, whatever the case may be. Again, expected to be a bright, sunny day on Sunday, but temperatures are dramatically off from where we were today. That ball driven into right center field. Marlon Byrd, a diving attempt, but can't get it. He's going to hold Ramon Hernandez to a single. That tells you about Marlon Byrd. It's a 10-run game in the 8th inning. And he's all out. Of course, that's his M.O. All out all the time.
That's a good hustle right there. And you make a great point, Tom. They're up by 10. Here it is in the 8th inning. That run didn't mean anything. That base hit didn't mean anything. Just the way you play the game.
Well, now let's see if Chris Heisey can get his first big league hit. Got to start after being called up. You know, he came off the bench in St. Louis. Actually did not come off the bench, I beg your pardon, at all in the St. Louis series. He got off to a very slow start in AAA and then was knocking the cover off the ball for the better part of a couple of weeks when he got the call to join a big league club. That one fouled straight back. Heisey got a pinch hit appearance against the Mets a couple of days ago. He started a game in that series and looking for his first major league hit, but he's behind 0-2 to Russell here. Heisey drafted in the 17th round in 2006, a native Pennsylvania. Fastball in, even a count.
He gets right on the plate, Chris Heisey does. You know, what I noticed with him in spring training, he's got very quick hands, really good short swing, and likes the ball in the inner part of the plate. Nothing like hitting that left-handed slider off your leg to make you wonder why I like the ball on the inside part of the plate.
Mm-hmm. 2-2 to count on Heisey. We'll do it again. He's gone on strikes, 2 in the inning. 1 hit, 1 left. We mercifully move to the 9th where the Cubs lead 14-4. In traffic. Way Chris Welsh used to rebound for the St. X Bombers.
Yeah, waist high. I mean, most times when you see a fielder go into the stands and make a catch, his glove is higher than their hands. And he's got the advantage of a big scooper first baseman's glove. But he caught that baby waist high. He wanted to give him a chance first. He said, hey, if you're not going to catch it, I'll snag it for you.
Miguel Cairo taking over at third. Also now replacing Brandon Phillips at second is Paul Yanish. And on the mound, it's Daniel Ray Herrera.
You'd love to be able to be the first Reds pitcher of the night not to give up a run.
You know, your St. X Bombers are, I noticed, and I haven't paid a great deal of attention to it, but, you know, we're getting close to the high school state baseball tournament getting underway. Of course, Moeller nationally ranked.
Yeah, good year
among the top 5, top 7 high school teams ranked in America. Mike Cameron, their longtime head coach, who, you know, we see him a couple of nights a week as part of the official scoring here at Great American Ballpark. I don't know how many state titles he won, what, 4 or 5 of them, something like that, through all the years. And then a year after he leaves, they win another one. And here they are rolling. And I know Elder is very highly ranked as well. I think they're the number 2 or 3 seed. I believe the 3 seed in the upcoming tournament. There's a ground ball to short. Ontario thrown out by Cabrera. Well, what about your St. X Bombers?
Haven't followed them. Can't tell you. They must be having an off year, or else you wouldn't ask.
No. I mean, I think that I think they're right around 500. I just glance every now and again to see the records. I know my Anderson Redskins are having a solid year. They took one on the chin yesterday to Elder. Told you Elder's a 3 seed, Lakota West the 2 seed. The Mighty Men of Mo, number 1. Are you looking up bombers.com?
Yeah, I don't think you get to the St. X website that way, though.
2-1 to Fukudome.
You may have grabbed that domain name back in the days of your presidency as the beta fraternity
You're right.
president.
Probably would have been a good idea. Well, that's what happens with a lot of the college big-time sports websites. You want to go to the university, say like, pick a team, University of Cincinnati. And those are, .org generally if you want to find out more about a university. But the athletic websites, will be things like Bearcats.com, Buckeyes.com, Huskies. Whatever it may be. Not all of them. Some of them. In the air, left center field. Stubbs will run it down, and Fukudome retired. Fukudome's been on base 4 times tonight. He'll be a part of the Gillette Civil Rights game as the Reds take on the Cardinals Saturday, May the 15th. It'll be a huge weekend. The first 20,000 fans in attendance, fittingly, would receive a Chuck Harmon 1954 replica mesh jersey. Just like the style of the Reds players will wear for the game that day, courtesy of Duke Energy. Make sure to get tickets to that, 381-REDS, or go to Reds.com. Chuck Harmon, one of the great gentlemen you will ever meet. The first Cincinnati Red African-American player. Oh, what a great guy he is. That one ripped up the left field line by Derek Lee. Lee's second hit tonight. And he's a 2-out base runner.
Four times on base for Derek Lee. A walk, a fielder's choice, and a couple of hits, including that double of a knock down the left field line. 15 hits. The Reds have 12 hits.
Really the difference in the game, walks.
Yeah.
The Reds pitching tonight. That one drilled into right center, and Stubbs will get to it. Reds pitchers have walked 8 batters in the game tonight, and 5 of the 8 scored. Your local Cincinnati John Deere dealer this Deere season. By the Ohio Department of Public Safety, reminding motorcyclists to ride smart. By the Basement Guys. Enter to win free basement giveaways from the Basement Guys. To enter, go to thebasementguys.com. And by Shakely Unicomp, Ohio Managed Care Organization for Workers' Comp. Back at Great American Ballpark, it is the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Reds trailing 14-4. As John Grabo now takes over on the mound for the Cubs.
Yeah, the Lou Piniella emptied his bullpen of all the lefties they've had. We've seen Sean Marshall, James Russell, and now John Grabo. Nice luxury to have, really, if you've got 3 left-handers in the bullpen.
Now, the irony is the guy they're really counting on this year is this guy right here, Grabo, and the other 2 have pitched a lot better than he has. Silva in line to pick up the win. He would go to 3-0 in his first year with the Cubs. There's strike 3 to Cabrera. Homer Bailey would slip to 0-2.
Well, the thing about Graybo, though, is that he's got a lot of pretty good numbers on the back of his baseball card.
Yep.
He can be a workhorse. He has pitched in as many as 75 ball games in a year. He did that last year, actually, combining work for the Pirates and the Cubs when he got traded over. Slow start, no doubt, for him.
Paul Yanish lines one to left center, but Byrd is able to get there in time, and the Reds are down to their final out of the night. Well, Chris, just one of those nights. Unfortunately for Homer Bailey, you know, he's got to start wondering about finding some answers. I mean, you know, you brought up earlier, he by far pitched his best game of the year, his last start against St. Louis. But the bottom line is he left the game and was lucky to get a no decision in that game. Reds came back to tie the game, a game they eventually lost. As that one is shot down the left field line off the wall by Votto. Been a good night for Joey, a 3-hit night. But I mean, Homer Bailey, 4+ innings tonight, 5 walks, 5 hits, 7 earned runs. And Dusty Baker, you know, you look at the back of Bailey's bubblegum card right now, and that ERA is up around 9 or 10.
Well, you know, after you get a certain number of starts in the major leagues, tonight was start number 43 career-wise for Homer Bailey. You have to start looking at the expectations of scoreboard. Not just, are you getting a little better as a pitcher? We're bringing you along a little bit at a time. You've got to put some zeros up there. And I think that he's got plenty of stuff. And I just think he nibbled around the zone tonight. And I think if he really was honest in his post-game speech to the media, or even in confidence of people off the record, he'd say, you know, I'm not happy with the pitches I threw. Maybe it's the pitch that was called. Maybe it's the pitch that he wanted to throw. But he's got to be able to use his fastball and pitch a little inside. We've seen the Reds get low bridge twice tonight. And you got a guy who can throw 96 miles an hour out there who kept pecking away in the outside corner with a slider. And that's what he was getting beat on. It's breaking ball. So I think he's close to turning a corner. I keep saying that about him, but I was encouraged by his last start in St. Louis. And tonight ought to toughen him up a little bit. It's the only way you look at it. Come back and be tough.
Oh, that's a long one out there. That ball carried a long way by Miguel Cairo. That'll be a double. That'll score Joey Votto to make it a 14-5 game for Miguel Cairo. We got a start a couple of days ago. They hit in 4 at-bats, and now an RBI double.
He's staying on that ball pretty good, but boy, the ball's really carrying to right field. The wind's whipping up, taking it down the river there, and makes that ball really go to right.
Jay Bruce is 1 for 3 tonight. Has walked, flied out, had a 2-run single in the 5th, and struck out in the 7th. Cardinals, by the way, finished off the Pirates 4-3 final there. Other finals, Marlins down the Nationals 4-2. Phillies shut out Atlanta 7-0. And the Mets beat the Giants 6-4. 3-2 to Jay Bruce.
Now, Jay had some words for home plate umpire Brian Runge the last time when he got rung up in the 7th inning. And he just said the same thing right there. And Runge just simply shaking his head saying, get in the box. One thing I do like is the way these umpires have begun to take control of the game and tell the hitters to get back in the box. They are constantly and diligent about trying to speed this game up.
Well, Jay Bruce fires that bat away. He's lucky he didn't hit Johnny Gomes with that bat.
I'll tell you, you know, you can be mad at the umpire, but if you show him up, you can't win. And the younger you are doing it, I mean, if you've got 18 years in the major leagues, or if you've been around as long as Scott Rowland and you want to take a guy aside, that's one thing. But if you've only had an extended cup of coffee here, and you really haven't done much from a performance standpoint, as far as being an all-star, gold glover, silver bat winner, you're just another guy. They'll remember it. Believe me, they will remember. In fact, it was Brian Runge's dad who followed me in the dugout one time. I didn't even know it. I flicked the bat on the dirt and said, I wish I could get a call like that. When he rung me up on strike 3, I turned around and he was at the bat rack with me.
That's a base hit by Johnny Gomes down the right field line. That'll bring in 2 more runs. So Gomes a 2-run double. Johnny has 3 hits tonight.
Well, you get him any way you can get him. 3 hits on the night for Johnny Gomes, his second double. This time looks to left, hits to right.
So now the inning continues for Drew Stubbs. Stubbs and Brandon Phillips, the only 2 in the original starting lineup minus the pitcher, without a base hit tonight. And the Reds have 15 hits. Cabrera has 2. Joey Votto has 3. Scott Rowland had a couple. Miguel Cairo a pinch hit single. Johnny Gomes 3 hits. Ramon Hernandez 2 hits. 1-1 to Drew Stubbs. And now Stubbs does have a hit. They're going to hold Johnny Gomes at third base. Still 2 outs after the first 2 are retired here in the bottom of the 9th by Graybo. He's allowed back-to-back doubles, a walk, another double, and now a single by Stubbs. And the inning will continue for Ramon Hernandez.
Yeah, Larry Rothschild can hardly believe it, but he's got to make another call down the bullpen. Here they are, up 14-7. 14-4 going into this inning.
Ryan Hannigan stands in the on-deck circle. Runners are on the corners with 2 away. Reds are down by 7. We're in the 9th. And this one caught by Fukudome, and that is that. So the Reds get 3 runs in the 9th. Well, the Cubs win the opening game of this 3-game weekend series, and even the overall season series at 2 games apiece. Saw Major League history tonight. That young man, Starlin Castro, 6 RBIs, the most ever by a player in his Major League debut. How about that?
He had a great night tonight. We've heard a lot about him. We got to see him a little bit in spring training. He's a nice young player. And congratulations to you, Starlin Castro. I hope it's the last hit, however, you ever get against the Reds. So there you go.
I'll second that. All right, final count of 14-7. Time for Reds Live. Let's send it to Jim Day.
Tom, thank you very much. Coming up on Reds Live, we will attempt To put a bow on this one, 16 hits for Cincinnati, but it spells a loss. And as you said, we watch history happen before our eyes tonight. We'll tell you all about it and show you all about it, and we'll seek reaction. Stay with us. Reds Live is around the corner. Tough night at the Yard, 14-7. Cubs pound the Reds. That guy, well, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.